in the hours that followed, in the quiet of a life that suddenly had more space in it than he knew what to do with, something happened that he did not expect, that he was not prepared for, that he would not tell anyone about. He had imagined the silence would feel like relief, like exhaling after holding something too long, like finally setting down a weight he had carried past the point of comfort. And in the very first hours it did feel something like that. But psychology reveals that what a man feels in the silence, after walking away from someone he truly loved, is almost never what he imagined. It is something older, something quieter, something that arrives not as a feeling, but as a shape. The exact shape of everything she used to fill. Men who walk away from real love rarely speak about what comes after. Not because nothing comes, but because what comes has no language they have been taught to use. Psychology shows us that when a man walks away from a genuine emotional bond, one that was real, not convenient, what follows inside him is rarely what either person expects. What follows is not freedom. What follows is the full and undeniable weight of what freedom without her actually costs. And that weight moves through him in layers, each one quieter than the last, each one going deeper than the one before. In the first hours, he feels something he mistakes for confirmation. A lightness, a sense of having chosen correctly, a quiet voice inside him that says, "This is right. This is what you needed. This is better." Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance reduction. When a person makes a difficult choice, especially one that cannot be undone quickly, the mind immediately begins working to justify that choice, to smooth the sharp edges of doubt, to produce something that feels like peace. But this is not peace. This is the brain protecting itself from the full weight of what it just chose. Because psychology shows us that this relief has a specific quality. It is thin. It does not deepen. It does not grow into certainty. It simply sits on the surface of something heavier that has not arrived yet. He does not know this in the first hours. He tells himself the lightness is real. He does the things a person does when they believe they have made the right choice. He sleeps, he breathes. He moves through the first days with something that resembles ease, and then, quietly, without announcement, the absence arrives. It does not announce itself. It arrives in a Tuesday evening with no particular occasion, in a song that finds him in a grocery store or car or a room he thought was safe, in a quiet moment he was not guarding carefully enough, and suddenly she is completely present in her absence. Neuroscience confirms that when a genuine emotional bond breaks, the brain experiences measurable withdrawal. The oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin, the bonding chemicals that were released in her presence, they do not simply stop being needed. They are missing. His body is experiencing her absence as a chemical deficit. This is not metaphor, this is biology. He reaches for his phone. He does not send anything. He sits with the reaching, the impulse that got halfway to her name, before something else stopped it. He tells himself this is normal, that it will pass, that it is simply the adjustment of a nervous system that grew used to a particular presence. And what psychology reveals is this: he is right that it is normal. He is wrong that it is simple, because this is not grief in the way most people understand grief. Grief has permission. Grief has a name in the mouths of the people around you. Grief has a reason to be shown. Psychology calls what he is carrying disenfranchised. Grief that has no social permission, no language, no one to tell. He left, so he cannot mourn openly. He cannot say her name in a way that earns him comfort. He cannot explain what he is missing without explaining what he chose to do. And so the grief lives entirely inside him, unacknowledged, unnamed, his alone. He tries to fill it, not dramatically, not in the ways that would be obvious, quietly, the way a person reaches for something to drink, when they don't know yet that what they're actually thirsty for isn't water. New conversations, new company, new spaces full of people who are pleasant and perfectly fine, and somehow completely wrong. Psychology identifies this as emotional substitution failure, the point where the contrast effect begins its quiet work. The contrast effect means this: his brain now has a baseline, a specific emotional reference point, and everything that arrives after her is measured against that reference point without him choosing for it to happen. Every new conversation is measured against the quality of hers. Every new presence is evaluated against the specific warmth of what she gave. Not the general warmth of a kind person, the specific warmth of her, the way she listened, the particular way she saw him, not the version he performed for the world, but the version that was uncertain and honest and real, the version he never had to explain. The contrast effect does not announce itself loudly. It accumulates, one experience at a time, one conversation at a time, one moment that almost reaches something and then doesn't. Quietly, politely, without drama. until the understanding begins to form. What she gave was not general. It was specific to who she was, and specific things cannot be replaced. They can only be lost. The reckoning does not arrive as a breakdown. He is not that lucky. A breakdown would be fast. A breakdown would be loud enough to explain itself, loud enough to demand attention, loud enough to carry the full weight of what he is learning. The reckoning arrives as something quieter, something accumulating, something that builds across days and weeks until it becomes undeniable. Psychology calls this effective forecasting failure. The human mind's profound inability to accurately predict how it will feel in a future it has not yet lived. He imagined the silence. He made his decision inside that imagination. He calculated what walking away would cost him and determined the cost was manageable. What he could not forecast was what the silence would actually feel like from inside it. From inside it, the silence has a shape. From inside it, the space she used to fill does not feel like space. It feels like her, the exact dimensions of her everywhere. He begins to understand the difference between what he walked away from and what he walked away into. The first was real. The second was a story he told himself in a moment, when the real thing felt like more than he was ready to hold. He begins to understand that she was not just someone he loved. She was the standard, the emotional reference point, the thing against which everything that followed would be quietly measured and found wanting. He didn't lose her the day he walked away. He lost her slowly, one ordinary moment at a time, in every experience that was supposed to replace her and couldn't. And some things psychology confirms only reveal their full value from the outside. He is on the outside now, and he understands. He knows what going back would require. He knows the exact sentence it would begin with, the exact admission it would demand, the exact version of himself it would ask him to stand in front of her as. The version that was wrong, the version that chose and then learned, in the silence of his own choosing, that the choice was wrong. Psychology identifies this as ego-protective behavior. Pride in this context is not arrogance. It is not indifference. It is a wall the ego builds to protect itself from the specific humiliation of being wrong about something that mattered, from having made a decision with certainty and discovering that the certainty was borrowed. Returning would not just require love. It would require the complete dismantling of the version of himself that walked out of that door believing he was choosing correctly. Leaving took a moment. Going back would take everything. And so he stays in the silence, not because the silence is comfortable, not because the silence is what he wants, but because breaking it requires a kind of courage that is harder than leaving ever was. And he is not sure, in the quiet of what he created, whether he has it. She does not leave him, not in the way he expected leaving to work. He thought walking away meant walking away. He thought distance was a decision the mind could enforce. Neuroscience tells us otherwise. Neural imprinting is the process by which significant emotional experiences are permanently encoded into the brain's architecture. She is not just in his memory. She is in the structure of how his nervous system now recognizes love, how it recognizes warmth, how it recognizes what it feels like to be genuinely seen. She lives in Tuesday evenings that feel inexplicably wrong now, in songs that carry her frequency into rooms she has never been in moments of genuine joy that arrive with a slight shadow, because the person he most wants to share them with is the one he chose to lose. He carries her in the silence he created, and the silence is not empty. It never was. It is full of everything he did not say and everything he cannot take back and everything he now understands, too late and too completely to put down. Here is what psychology confirms, and what he will most likely never say out loud. A man who walks away from someone he truly loved does not find peace in the silence. He finds her in it, in every quiet space, in every ordinary moment that carries the shape of what she used to fill. The silence he chose was never empty. It was and remains entirely full of her. He made the choice, but the choice did not make the feeling go. It only gave the feeling nowhere to go but deeper. And now, this is for you. What you carried in his silence was real. The weight of being the one who stayed, the one who did not choose to leave. That weight belongs to you. It deserves to be named. It deserves to be acknowledged for exactly what it was. One of the heaviest things a person can carry. His leaving was never a verdict on your worth. Psychology shows us that people leave not because the person they are leaving isn't extraordinary, but because they are not yet ready to receive something extraordinary. His limitations were never your measurement. You did not lose because you loved too much. You did not lose because you were too present, too real, too available, too much of something that asked too much of him. You lost because he was not yet capable of holding what you offered. Those are entirely different things, and the difference matters. You were never the problem. The love you gave was never the problem. The problem was a man who stood in front of something rare and could not yet recognize it as the thing worth staying for. That is his story. It was never yours. You deserve someone who does not need your absence to understand your value. Someone who does not require the full weight of losing you to recognize what you are. Someone who chooses you, not after the silence teaches him what he gave up, but before. Clearly, completely, without the silence in between. You deserve to be chosen in the daylight, out loud, without conditions. Without a man first having to walk away to discover that walking away was the most significant mistake of his quiet life. His silence was never proof that you were not enough. It was proof that he had not yet become enough to deserve what you were offering him. If something in this reached you, if something in the silence he left behind finally feels explained. Please like this video and subscribe, because this channel exists for everyone who has ever needed the interior of someone else's silence finally spoken out loud. You are not alone in what you carried, and you never have to be.